Welcome to SEL in EDU.
where we discuss all things social and emotional in education.
I'm Krista.
And I'm Craig, and we are your host on this journey.
This podcast is created in partnership with Pennsylvania ASCD.
All right, SEL and EDU family. We hope that it has been good to you. The day, the energy, the weather, the meal, depending on where you are at this point when you hear us. We hope that the world has been treating you well, or you've been treating yourself well, because you are the gift. Krista, how are you doing? What is going on in your world today?
I am doing fantastic. I've been checking in with my kids. My two that are in high school are heading to the prom this week. And by the
Wow.
time this drops, it'll be past there. But my other is coming home. He and I are going to Nashville, Tennessee for a couple days to check out some live music. And I think that's fitting because our guest today is a huge music lover. And so I have a feeling that a lot of what we talk about is going to be education mixed in with some really good music, band, songs. Yes. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. We've got some good stuff planned. How are you?
I'm holding up well in these streets. Anytime I can get up and this 40-plus-year-old knees still keep working and I don't have to put no WD-40 on them, I think it's a good and great time. I'm just saying. I have recently become part of the Noom family, Noom, for those who are trying to figure it out, just to keep my weight loss, and fitness and wellness, because it's more than weight loss. It really is about behavioral change and things like that. So I'm really trying to incorporate some accountability tools and things that are going to help me with behavioral change, because wellness really is about what is happening in our minds first, our hearts, and then our bodies hopefully will follow. And so I'm really doing some deep work in that area. So it's been all right. We've been all right.
I think I need to check out Noom. Our guest, who I'm not going to say who it is yet, was given the thumbs up. And I think we're all kind of on that same page where I started working out in the last couple weeks. And I don't want to. A friend was like, we just rust as we get older. I'm like, I don't want to rust.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to have to get new body parts. And I don't want to rust. If I don't start getting good habits again, because I used to work out, if I don't get those again, I don't want it to be too late. So, and I know our guest definitely agrees with us. And so I'm so excited to introduce our guest. Our friend Sean Gaillard is here. He is a school leader, author, and podcaster. You've probably heard of him, our SEL and EDU family. He is the author of The Pepper Effect. Can you guess what band? I'll give you a couple minutes to think what band he is a fan of. And he has contributed to various books and composed articles on the topics ranging from instructional leadership, school culture, and music. Sean hosts the Principal Liner Notes podcast and serves as the principal of the Appalachian State University Academy at Middle Fork. Sean founded the hashtag Celebrate Monday movement and is working on a second book with Routledge. Maybe we can get some inside scoop on this second book. But Sean, welcome. We are so happy to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Krista and Craig. It's great to be here with you in this moment. And real quickly, Craig, you mentioned Noom, and I want to second that emotion, little nod to Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, because that and Noom, if you're listening, hook Craig and I up with some sort of there's not a paid endorsement, but anyway, it really has been it is that accountability partner. And it's also that kind of key for not only weight loss, but just it's like, they do the psych tricks and it's just good. It echoes, I think, a lot of y'all's work and what you do with SEL and balance and wellness and behavior and responding to yourself and responding to each other. So Noom has helped me on my journey just to be a better person. But everyone's going, what's with the Noom endorsement? I thought this was SEL and EDU, but anyway, I couldn't let that go without saying that, because it really is and for you, Krista, the 2 weeks in, you just, everything's a moment. You win that moment, and then you'll start, just keep at it, really, and you're giving a gift to yourself, not the gift of rust. Oh my goodness. Because I'm 50 plus, and Craig, I know what you mean by the WD-40 on the knees and the joints, man. So yeah, I when you get to my age, you need like the WD-80, but but anyway, that's how I'm doing, Chris. That's to answer your question. Sorry.
And it is.
Thank you for that kind intro too.
Of course. It is all related to SEL, because I find that I am very much in my head. I love to sit and think and process and learn, but I forget to get up and move. Mm-hmm. And, I'm entering into the second half of my 40s, and I'm like, this is going to catch up with me if I don't start doing something now to establish those healthy habits. And I'll let you know, my legs are like, it was a big legs day. My legs are feeling it. But it does feel good to know that I got up and I did something. And so we're all morning workout people. I didn't think I would be, but I like knowing that by 7:00, I've accomplished something for the day. So that's awesome.
Do you find, Krista, and this helped me too early on, and Craig, maybe you can attest to this as well, but when you work out early in the morning, and I get up super early, and not only do I have that physical space to do what I need to do, but I also find, and you guys study the brain and study emotions, but there's something, and again, that just kind of clicks or opens up the space in the brain for me, and that's where I get a lot of my ideas. And I, I'll jot down either an idea for a book or something that I'll tweet out, or even an idea for a podcast. But I find, so that's the other thing that kind of gets me going in the morning. Like, okay, cool. if I work out and do this set, I know something's going to kick in, or I'm going to get a thought. Mm-hmm. So I either have to like jot down something. I usually have sticky notes in my pocket. I'm probably the only geek that brings sticky notes to the gym, because I have to like jot down stuff. And my friend Julie Hassan says I need to use the voice recorder, which I still can't figure out. But yeah, I find that helps too. So I know that you like to produce content. So you never know. Maybe a podcast idea will land, or an article idea, or a presentation idea. Just bring the sticky notes and jot it down. That'll help once that starts kicking in. I'm sure it has already.
Beyond the like, am I going to die? Are my legs going to collapse out from under me? I'm very, I have the self-depreciating humor, right? So there's like 5 of us at 5:30. And there's somebody like a personal trainer who kind of goes around. It's a small group. And so I try to like get him to laugh in between, the set. So that's kind of my goal, to make people smile that early in the morning. But I do think I'm going to start ideating once I get into a routine.
It's going to happen. And that's the gift that keeps on giving. It's a great magic and synergy. So that's one of the gifts of that wellness. And when you get to our vintage ages.
Yes, love. And so speaking of vintage ages and classics and synergy, I am really loving the Pepper Effect book.
Thank you.
The way that you are weaving something that's really important and profound to you with education, another piece that's really important for you. It's just so well done. And I think that it was published in 2018. And so I'm a little bit to the game, but I have a couple questions that I've been pulling out here that I'd like to toss to you. So
sure.
At 2 different parts, in the beginning, you talked about George Martin. He was, I believe, the producer for the Beatles and was kind of a mentor for them, or was a mentor. They ran all of their songs past him and he would help. And then you talked about a spiritual and musical guru for George Harrison, and how they served as catalysts for them. And so I'd like to know who served as a catalyst or a mentor or a guru for you in life, in education, both.
Wow. That's first of all, Krista, thanks for reading and mentioning two great catalysts. George Martin, who is the Beatles producer. And if we've all heard his music, and if you've heard the song "In My Life," that's George playing the piano solo in the middle. He played a lot. He was kind of like the fifth Beatle, or considered to be the fifth Beatle in some circles. And then George Harrison's, who was in the Beatles, his kind of musical mentor and mystical spiritual guru, Ravi Shankar, played the sitar. I find that the older I get, the more I hone in on mentors and helpers and teachers, and we as a principal, I am in the business of supporting teachers and helping establish belief. And often we think of those folks that have influenced us and inspired us. So for me, first and foremost, my mother and my father, my first teachers. I am very fortunate that both parents are still with us, and that they instilled in me, and still do, that I could do anything, and that nothing was limited. I could do anything. I could be anything, and they, just that not only did I get love from them, but I learned the lesson of giving love. And my parents are very loving people and very altruistic people, and very faith-filled people. So they gave me my faith. Probably along those lines, my fifth grade teacher, and I talk about her a lot, and I talk about her in the book, Mrs. McMonagle, who saw something in me that I did not see in myself, and opened a world for me of music and literature that I've never forgotten. And and then I would also say, and she's probably my best mentor and my best friend and my closest advisor. That's my wife. Deb, she is the one that I lean on. We lean on each other. She's also a teacher. But she is someone that I look to for a lot of guidance and a lot of support. And then, I know this podcast is limited, but I'm real lucky that I've learned a lot from the teachers I've served, a whole lot from the teachers I've served, and so I lean on them too. So I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky that I've had some kind of great bandmates. Probably another one I mentioned, Julie Hassan, who is a great author, and I know you guys are connected to her, and we are connected through our work with App State University. All of the folks that have been at my assistant principal in some way, shape, or form, who are thought partners, and gurus for me. So I count myself very blessed. I always try to, and I think it's important, just not for my own SEL, but for anyone who's seeking SEL, to kind of look for those gurus, look for those folks that are emanating some sort of guidance or something. Well, man, this guy Craig, he's saying some really cool things. I gotta talk to him more. Takes a lot of courage too, right? But tune into those folks. I think that's important. As all educators, we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing. And the Beatles themselves, even though they were this great band, they still lean to and look for advisors and counselors and folks to bring out the best in them, as they brought out the best in each other as a band.
I am really curious to the origin story of your podcast, and just what made you decide to go with an integration of music. And there's some mindfulness, there is some really great tips for leaders and principals, and some of your own musing. So just kind of curious how you came to say, yeah, you know what, I want to share this with the world.
Absolutely. Part of my SEL besides getting up before the crack of dawn, before the chickens, is and I don't know what strengths-based assessment I took or whatever it is, but I kept coming up with creator. And so so by trade, I'm a high school English teacher, who happens to be a principal. I play guitar, I write, I have to create, I have to put things out. And the primary part of that podcast, Craig, is connection. Well, and that's two parts. I'm using the podcast to connect with myself and to kind of hone in on my core. And I just happen to share that with everybody. So there are times, and folks who really know me will listen to that podcast and go, "Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're referring to. Oh, you're going through something right now." So that's the first part, is I use the podcast to really connect with me. But then the other part of that too is being a principal. You're the only principal in the building. You're the only one. Not even an assistant principal. You're the only principal. Everybody has, if they're lucky, there's another second grade teacher, or there may be another assistant principal. I know there's some exceptions to that rule, but principals, there's a weight that's upon us that folks don't always understand. And I wanted to use the podcast as a way, not only am I connecting with myself, but I wanted to connect with others. And so that there's a directness to what I do in the podcast. Almost, I take a page from Mr. Rogers, where he was really focused and connected, like you felt like he was talking to you. And so I was I'm always trying to connect with that principal that feels lonely, alienated, doesn't feel that is going through imposter syndrome, that is going through the stuff. Okay. And part of that bridge for me is music. Music is the universal divine language that connects all of us. And I really, when I at some point in the course of our conversation today, I'm going to ask you, Krista, what's on your turntable right now? Craig, what's on your turntable right now? And not necessarily, to be judged and go, well, gosh, why are you listening to the Monkees, Krista, or Craig? Why are you listening to that, or whatever? But music connects us, and there, so like I'm looking for. So when I ask that question, when I talk about music, because we all have a song or an album or something that means something to us or evokes a memory. Man, what a great way to find common ground with somebody. What a great way to find a shared humanity or a shared experience. So in the Principal Liner Notes podcast, it's again 3 parts. It's I'm connecting with me because I got to create. I got to get something out of my system. I as much as I've been known to kind of ramble on, which I'm kind of doing right now, in faculty meetings, but I'm looking for, I got to get it out of my system, and then I want to connect with that lonely, alienated principal or school leader who doesn't feel like they fit in, or who's tried and been to all the workshops and is still not, and fallen flat. And I want them to know you're not alone. We can connect. We can be leaders together, and we can get through this together. And music is that bridge to connect us. So I always try to find some kind of meaning and what have you in the podcast. So that, and you don't necessarily have to be a principal to listen to it either. It's for everybody. We're all leaders. We're all, whether you're principal of your classroom or principal of your PLC or principal, who's the principal of this podcast, by the way? I'm just messing. But yeah, that's all it is. And I'm grateful for folks listening and downloading and tuning in and lately, and very similar to what you all do. I bring guests on and try to, and I use that to help amplify the voice of others if I can, and to help. So very much an internal dialogue, but it's also a collective dialogue in that podcast through music and amplifying the voices of others, which I think all leaders were called to do. That's part of our gig.
to me, that just embodied social emotional learning, the intrapersonal pieces, and then leveraging that to connect to the interpersonal. And what is it that can connect us? And for me, music has always been a hugely important part of my life. My dad plays by ear. He can pick up any instrument and play. And my
Nice.
brothers also play. My sister and I did not get that skill set, or we didn't hone it like we should have. But I remember being in the car and listening to 8 tracks of the Cars.
Nice.
Going to um, every Friday night, my mom worked in an emergency room. So my dad had us and he would pull out his guitar and sing. And so the one band that we all love is Pink Floyd. Like that was the one piece that brought us all together. But I remember John Denver songs, and we'd go to my grandmother's house and watch the Monkees. And so you're like one of the only people I ever know who like would be like, I love the Monkees. I'm like, me too.
Same here. You just dropped a lot of great musical nuggets there. I mean, Pink Floyd, I
Oh,
Dark Side of the Moon, what an epic album. And even the one before it, Metal, is so good. And I love the kind of conceptual thread that weaves in between them. And there's so much there in their music. John Denver, man, my mom played John Denver's greatest hits with the hat and him smiling in the field. And that's big with us here at home. My wife's a big John Denver fan, and I remember being in one band where we did The Eagle and the Hawk, which is a great song. But the Monkees, if you want to turn this into a Monkees podcast, let's do it. They are a legitimate band, and they changed the face of music and pop culture. So I said it unabashedly.
and I second it. Craig, have you ever seen the TV show The Monkees?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I just wanted to make well, I was going to tell you it was okay if you didn't, but I really, before and afterward.
I grew up in an era. I think my mom and dad. My dad surprises me because you could hear things from John Denver to Lou Rawls to Bobby Blue Bland.
Yes.
And you got the Motown sound. I think, and my dad also had some not just funk, but he had rock. So we heard the Beatles and we heard Rolling Stones, and
Nice.
so I'm just, and so I'm like, where did you get all of that from? But he grew up in Mississippi and in New Orleans, which is a hearse. So it's like there's so many influences. And from time to time, I surprise myself and I'll play some things. People are like, how do you know this? I'm like John Denver and the Monkees around the same round. And I learned, I'm like, come on, why would I not know? So
yeah. You just dropped Bobby Blue Bland. That was the first blues concert I'd ever seen. He played here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at a thing called Street Scene. I was 14 years old, and that blew my mind. I had never heard or seen music like that. When he's going, I've been in the fool, look at the people. I mean that yeah. Not many people drop that name, Craig. So that right on.
All right, you got all this tonality. Like, I need to come down to North Carolina just for the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the WD-80, man.
Okay. I'm like, oh, come through town.
Here we go.
Give it to us.
So let me ask, if you had to pick a soundtrack for today's education, what couple songs might you pick? Throw on there. Because you talk in your book about mixtapes. And I mean, you have a specific role for a mixtape in your book. But it got me thinking, like, if we put a soundtrack to today's education, and I know that's kind of putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder what you'd put out there.
So it kind of, I'll mention just some quick first impressions of when you first said that the song that first came to mind, and it's sad that I'm going to say this, is "Helpless" by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And a lot of educators right now, having been through COVID and been through everything in the last 3 years, and we are now, still dealing with so many issues, banned books, the otherism, the microaggressions, the attacks on teachers, and teachers do. I believe this. I don't think there's any teacher, educator, principal. I don't think there's anyone right now who gets up and says, you know what, I'm going to jack up the system today. I'm going to jack up kids today. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for any moment. I don't think anyone has that intention. I'm going to go in and I am going to be give the worst possible lesson and the worst possible class or whatever. I don't care what the belief, whatever it is. There's one thing that holds teachers together, all of us together. I don't think that's the intention. But sometimes, we go in there and all these things are thrown at us. All these things are taken. All these things are piled on, and we feel helpless. So the song too, "Helpless," if there's one way to look at it, is it's a recognition of helplessness. There's a little bit of hope too. So I would say, I would also have to say too that not every day or every moment is a bad, helpless moment. So there are those moments as teachers where, I would put on the great Johnny Nash's "I Can See Clearly Now," where we have these moments of euphoria, those teachable moments that are still there, where maybe not necessarily if it's us as the educator seeing clearly and having that moment of joy, but just the moment of joy, whether it's as from a leader standpoint or a student standpoint. So I would say that those moments are there. I always believe that there's hope, and I know folks are going, hope's not a strategy. In fact, somebody told me that the other day. And I rolled with it, and that's their point of view. But I do believe in hope. I do believe Ted Lasso. And then, I would also say too, a song that I play a lot. In fact, I got it from my dad, introduced it to me. The great Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. "Wake up, everybody. Wake up, teachers. Time to teach today. Time to make a brand new day." There's still that anthem that we all, get us going, get us grooving, right? Again, we could do a whole mixtape. That actually would be a fun exercise. What is the mixtape? That would be kind of cool to do on social media. And we can, tag in SEL and EDU, or, hashtag principal learners. If you were to make a mixtape for the current state of education right now, we could curate some things. That would be a fun mixtape, and it would be a good way to build connection and for folks to think about what are your 3 songs,
I love
and then sometimes you got to put on the Pink Floyd and just be comfortably numb, right? Because hey, I'm on cruise control.
Yeah. Like, just, I need to survive.
Yeah.
Kids need to survive. Well, it's interesting because I've done with some of the work, we talk about SEL in music. And so I'll say, list your top 3 favorite songs.
Love it.
Then why are they your favorite songs? And if you had to align them to a competency, one of the 5 SEL competencies, which one would it be? And so then I start to create music based on a competency for myself. Not just mood matching and like, do I need up energy or do I need to calm, but also like, do I want to focus on social awareness or maybe some self-management? And I'm thinking about goal setting and how I'm responding and not reacting. And so it's neat to do that on a Padlet too, because then people can upload videos and you can create something for a district or for a school. Gets used in sharing, oh, I like this song too, but I had it in a different competency for this reason.
Wow. And then what that does is it creates conversation. Conversation leads to action. Action leads to synergy. That what a great activity, Krista. That would be great for like a faculty meeting or PLC or district, and then even if you pick the same song, wow, that's some empathy mapping building right there. That's fun. That's cool. And that's the beauty of music. I mean, that's a part of my work is if you can find that connection, and it's an entry point to so many things right now. Go. Yeah. I would encourage anyone listening, go start your next faculty meeting, or whether you're a leader or not, whether you're in that role or not, it's okay to, hey, before we go, I'm just wondering what's your favorite song right now, or kids, what are you listening to right now? What's your favorite song?
Yeah. My boys and I do that a lot. We swap music, and so they'll text me things, or when they're in the car, they take control, and they like all different types of things, but it's interesting to hear. They're like, don't focus on the lyrics of this one, but this is why I like this song, right?
My daughters tell me that too. Yeah.
So
this makes me think about like song association. My staff did there was a couple of leaders who decided to have like divide everybody into groups. They chose fruits as the way that they were going to organize people. People had to pick a card that had a fruit on it. And that was their groups. And so you got a word, and you had to come up with as many songs as you could that were connected to that word. So it could be in the song title, it could be in the lyrics, but you have finite amount of time to generate this. And you had to like sing some line or two out of it that included the word. And so here you have people who are cross generations, across experiences, all united about, around this thing of like, I need to come up with a song that I can share with everyone. And then figuring out how do we get everyone to sing a song that has this word or whatnot. It was super fun. You saw the depth of people's experience in regards to the kinds of songs that came up for them. And it was just a great time. And so I think it helped to create like a playlist for folks of like, this is what our playlist is around, where it's like love and read. I don't think read was one, but there was some different things. It was fun. It was cool.
I'm going to steal that from you. I'm going to use it for our next faculty meeting, because what a great entry point, and then to shift the energy, right? Yes. And a good way to model that. I mean, hey, this is because I'm always getting meta in faculty meetings. Hey, what would this look like if you did this with third grade, or what would this look like if you did this in your class?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, music is that connecting force, and it gosh, it just brings in so many connections to SEL and one's peace and balance. I love that, Craig.
Hey, we little gift that goes a long way. And I am curious, what do you consider at this time in your your day? What do you feel like is your superpower?
Wow. I would say the ability to, and I don't know if superpower, I appreciate the image of a possibility there. But I would say the ability to connect, or finding that entry point to connect, whether it is through music, whether it is through storytelling. I'm a big storyteller. I love to tell stories. And then that connecting too is I would also say just inviting. Hey, come over here. Come on in here. We're talking about music. What do you think? So I would say connecting in some way. I like to do that. And I hope that others appreciate that move as a way to help and invite and create a sense of belonging.
One of the things that you mention in your book that I loved was that I think in creating that sense of belonging, also honoring who's in the room. And this is a quote that just when I walk into a schoolhouse, I believe that somewhere in the building is the next Steve Jobs or Frida Kahlo.
Yes.
Later on, it's, or the parents of or the grandparents of, like, there is
Yes.
so much potential, like just waiting to burst out into the world. And so how are we showing up, and how are we connecting with and ensuring that it's a welcoming space for everybody so they can thrive? That really just resonated. And I know you said you were going to ask us what we were listening to, and I know you're always swapping around what you're listening to. So I'd love to know, what is the current album that you're listening to? And I need to know what your favorite Monkey song is.
Okay. Well, if I'm okay, so currently the album that I've been listening, there's two albums I've been listening to heavily. One being Chris Isaak's San Francisco Days, which just celebrated a 30th anniversary. And I have a great emotional attachment to that album. It's such a great soulful album, and I love his voice, and I love how it was recorded. And then the second album that's been on heavy rotation, I just did a podcast about this, is Headquarters by the Monkees, and it's their third album, and it's their first album in which they got to play their own instruments. And I see that album as being emblematic, which I talk about in the book, making the impossible possible. And here's four guys that came together that shouldn't have been a band, but they had to become a band. Learned instruments and made great music, and took something that was deemed to be impossible, and it took creative courage to do that. So those two albums. And then my favorite Monkey songs, number one, Porpoise Song, from the written by Carole King. Carole King, of course, the songwriting genius, and wrote that masterpiece of an album, Tapestry. And she wrote a lot of their hits. I love that song a lot. That song probably gets played daily. Love The Door into Summer. Mike Nesmith sings on that. That's just a sublime song. And then probably, and I have a good memory associated with it. A little bit Me, a little bit You. Because when we lived in Boston, the Monkees were performing a live concert at the Boston Common for free. And I just have this great memory of my wife and our oldest daughter at the time, who was maybe 2 or 3 on her shoulders, and they were dancing. It's just a great memory. So what's on your turntable, Krista? What are your 3 favorite Monkey songs?
Yeah. So a little bit of, I think, a little bit of You, a little bit of Me.
Yeah.
One of my top favorites. For some reason, I love Pleasant Valley Sunday, just because of the, I was a social studies teacher, right? So thinking about how everybody was lined up and the same in this facade, it was happening. And I have to say, my little kid self loves Daydream Believer.
Yeah.
But I do have to share, and Craig, you might like lately, I've been really into 2 different areas. So I love Jacob Banks. His voice is just deep and soulful. And White Buffalo and John Moreland. I'm really drawn to the dark, deep, raspy voice. And so they remind me very much of Chris Stapleton. But if you haven't heard Jacob Banks, he's phenomenal.
I haven't. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. And my son has been sending me the new Shinedown CD has some really great songs about humanity and change and the way that we're treating people. And he just saw Muse in concert. And so he sent me a bunch of their songs. And so really just thinking about humanity and our connectedness and standing up for the rights of other people. So I've been listening to a lot of that at the same time. So
nice.
Kind of bouncing around. How about you, Craig?
Uh, so one that I remember was "I'm a Believer." I think Neil Diamond wrote
Neil
that.
Diamond, yep.
And so like I remember that. And I'm trying to connect it because I don't know whether or not it was like played during the World's Fair in New Orleans, and I know that the World's Fair was only around for a few years because I was born in I was more of an '80s baby, so I'm like I think that's where I heard it, um,
Nice.
and that was my connection to it. But what is on my turntable right now is John Coltrane, Love Supreme, live in Seattle. Uh,
Oh, yes.
yeah, and so
Yes.
I uh I remember I was in a class at Harvard and we were doing a reflection exercise, and I think Psalms was played
Mm.
for us to reflect on, or it might have been Resolution. She might
Mm.
have went through, or the professor went through a couple of songs. And I was like, what is this? I had never heard of John Coltrane before that. And the way I can get focused or do work, like if I need to write, do a project, any project based, I can play that, or I can play the Photograph soundtrack, which was curated by Robert Glasper.
Nice. Coltrane, man, Love Supreme. You want to talk about a warm-up song? Acknowledgement. I play that sometimes if I want to get if when I get to a certain place, acknowledgement, and that repeating bass line, doom 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 doom, and then the
Yes.
chant, man, and then it just that's it. Try that out as a warm up song, man, and you will get in a groove, and then Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin covered Love Supreme, and
Mm.
two electric guitarists just check that out. That's a deep album, man. That's a deep album. Love, Devotion, and Surrender is the name of the album,
Okay.
and that's another good one to work out to as well. I may do that tomorrow morning. But yeah, Coltrane, a gift, a I don't have words, man. Yeah,
I have
that's
That's
some
all.
listening to do. I need to catch up.
like I look, I just got a gift. I was like, let me check this out. Let me pull this off my Spotify. So, and I mean Santana is also just I can't wait. Okay.
Yeah, you'll he and then when they do Let Us Go Into the House of the Lord, I'm telling you that album he covers Nema, another Coltrane song. Get ready, fusion, jazz. It is phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out, man.
Okay. All right now. I'm ready.
Christy, you mentioned you didn't have any musical talent, but you must remember one of the Great Monkeys episodes, The Devil and Peter Tork, where Peter sells his soul to the devil, and Mike Nesmith defends him, and he says that beautiful line: "If you love music, you can play music."
Mm.
And to me, that you want to talk about SEL and talk about renewing folks and I'm not here, I'm not this, I'm an imposter, or how did I get this class, or how did I get this gig? Listen, if you love kids, if you love the content, you can you who what teacher of the year's got it on you. You're you know what I'm saying? I mean, that to me, again, it's an entry point, and providing that renewal. Think about, I mean, again, just that healing force, and if it's, and here's the thing for me, I share with folks, if music is not your thing, that's okay. But what is your thing? If your thing is antique typewriters and you can make connections to that, and that's your entry point to build meaning and to build relevance and to build connection, do it. Do it. If your thing is out of tune mandolins, played on mountaintops, that's your thing. be you, be unabashed in that, because because that might not be somebody else's thing, but that's going to inspire a child or another educator. Go, man, Craig's up there playing an out of tune mandolin on a mountaintop, and he just goes to every mountaintop he can with a mandolin playing, and that's his thing, and he connects it to our thing. What's my thing going to be? You know, part of teaching and part of our SEL is being our authentic selves, being true to our authentic selves. And, you know, we have so many bastardization notions of what a teacher is or what a principal is. Hollywood has done that. You know, and then we think, oh, I'm supposed to be like this teacher because I saw this person in the movie, or I'm supposed to be like, you know, Mr. Belding on Saved by the Bell. Little 80s reference there for you, Craig. I'm supposed to be the Principal Ed Rooney and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. No, that's somebody else's interpretation. Be who you are. Be who your core is. And then don't be afraid to show it. It's hard, though. And I know it's easier said than done, especially if you're in a place where you don't feel psychologically safe. Mm-hmm. But we have things like SEL and EDU. We have things like the Principal Liner Notes podcast, where there are educators out there that are trying to find connection and connect you to yourself and connect you to others so that you can be that person that is impactful for others and yourself. So, you know, people who... I don't listen to music. I don't know music. I don't know what they're talking about. John who? Cole what? Cole Train? Cole Car? What is that? You know, the Monkees? Oh, man, they're not a band, you know. And that's okay. That's fine. What's your thing? And what's your thing that you're going to share and be passionate about and put out there? And it's hard, man. It's hard because remember we talked about the song Helpless, feeling helpless. And it's hard. It's hard for me some days. I'm not always ready to be Mr. Music Guy or Mr. Connection Guy. There's some days where I am in the rut. I am in the stuff. And it's hard. It really is. So when we have these kinds of conversations or connecting or whatever, you know, so we're human, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm looking like for the title of this, and one of the things you had talked about is you're in the band, and when you are your authentic self, you're able to find it. It kind of gives people permission to be who they are.
There it is.
And then you get to make your band. Like, you get to surround yourself with like-minded people that can, you know, lift you up when you're dragging behind, or shine a spotlight when you're not giving yourself enough credit for the work that you've done. Yeah. You know, and we get to control that. And you mentioned that in your book too, that what you can control is the sincerity of your interactions with people.
Right.
What can we control? We can control how we interact with people. We can control who we spend our time with and who we get our energy from, and keep our focus on the kids. And you mentioned that. And so
that's it. If you can find common ground, I was in a conversation about this earlier today about leveraging change and motivating folks to go to the next level. And I said, or I shared in this conversation with this thought partner, listen, if we can at least agree upon or find the common ground, which is kids, we'll figure out the rest. We'll figure out the rest. And a lot of great bands and musicians, there are a lot of great bands. I won't name too many names, but, you know, they don't get along. They don't like each other. They hated each other. But boy, we sure do love playing music together. We sure do love playing a sweet sound together. Michael Nesmith and Peter Tork and the Monkees did not get along at all. At all. Well, boy, we sure do make a great sound together when we play together. Wow. You know, let's find a way to work together, you know, for the music, you know. And it's the same thing in education. There's a lot of varying ideas and conflicting and divergent and convergent points of view. And there's some tension. But But man, if we can just figure out what our common ground is, and maybe it's just asking them, what's our common ground? What's our common ground here? What is it, kids? Okay. You're okay. I'm okay. We'll figure out the rest.
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect you. If and that's hard too. But I think it's necessary. What's our common ground here? How can we navigate in the space to find to serve the common ground that we want to support?
Yeah. Thank you. I have so many things I need to process and focus on, and so many gems.
Well, thank you. This is just fun talking with y'all.
For those who are most inspired and can't wait to find you, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Well, there's a few ways. One through Twitter at SM Gaillard, or Instagram at SM Gaillard, Facebook Sean Gaillard. They can also find my podcast through the hashtag Principal Liner Notes. That's on Spotify and all the platforms that are there. Always, don't mind a direct message or an email at sgaillard84@gmail.com. Or at a record store. That's I'll be there, or the hashtag the pepper effect. That's another one too, so many ways to connect. I'm always happy for a conversation, or a question or a thought or a way I can help and support.
Wow. Oh my. It's been such a treat. Oh my. I already, curated some things while we were talking. I just cannot wait to, infuse my workout with some of this great music that you have shared today. So thank you so much, Sean, for spending time with us and giving us so many gems and gifts, and just being you. You are definitely a gift to our world.
Oh man. Thanks, Craig. That means a lot. I've enjoyed our time together, Krista and Craig, and somehow we're not going to let this project go. We got to figure that out.
You will
Hold each other to that. Yeah. And then I now I have another. I have to find an excuse to get to Pennsylvania, right? So I haven't been in a few years since COVID. I think the last time I was at ISTE in 2019. That was the last time I was in up that way. So I need to get back there.
ISTE's up here again this June. Just saying.
I know, and I'm torn. I got to figure that out because I got a lot going on in June. I got to finish a book. Ooh. And you guys got to know, because I've listened to some of y'all's episodes. You are so impactful, and the vibe, and just seriously, keep putting it out there. Keep doing this. We need this. You're filling buckets. And like I said today, I had a human moment. I said, no, I'm getting ready to talk with Craig and Krista later. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Just keep thinking about that. And I did.
Thank you.
We're glad you joined us.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, SEL and EDU family, it has been quite the hour. We have been going, but
yeah,
when things get good, we keep on keeping on. So SEL and EDU family, we absolutely love and adore you. We just want to continue to remind you that you are the gift. You are the gem, and we are so glad that we can add a little bit of joy to your day. So continue to hold you and yours tight, and we will stand together in this wonderful SEL and EDU light. Y'all take care.